Research shows that you need 90 minutes every day for reading instruction in order to significantly improve your children's reading comprehension. Unfortunately, you only have 45 to 50 minutes every day. So what do? Where do you find this time? Well, stick around because I have some suggestions that may help you. Hello, my name is Chris Austria, a retired reading and literacy teacher and a superintendent from the United States, now based in the Philippines. So let's look at your situation at your school. On your schedule, you only have 45 to 50 minutes every day for reading or English. And I said earlier that you actually need, on an average, 90 minutes of reading instruction. Where do you find these minutes? How do you do it? How are you going to make sure that you fill that time, that 90-minute time, so that you can ensure that your children will improve their reading comprehension? When I was a teacher and a school administrator in the United States, I actually experienced and encountered the same problem. I was always assigned to schools that had students that were low performance, both in reading and in math. And as a teacher and as a principal, I needed to figure out how can I add more minutes in my children's reading time while not sacrificing the other subjects that are required by the state. I discovered that the solution to my problem is cross-curricular instruction. I really couldn't touch the schedule because if I added more minutes on my reading and literacy instruction, that would have impacted everyone's schedule. It would have impacted the math schedule, impacted the PE schedule and science schedule, and so on and so forth. So what I did as a teacher and as a principal, I used the cross-curricular instructional approach. Now, if you're a teacher who is self-contained, meaning you teach all the subjects for your students, this is actually an easy fix because you, as a teacher, control the schedule of your students. You can actually move things around in your classroom, right? You can add more minutes here for science, more minutes here for reading. So as a self-contained teacher teaching all the subjects, what you can do is actually you can look at the reading skills that you are teaching that week or that month or even that year. Reading skills like vocabulary development, reading skills like inferential or drawing conclusion. Those kind of reading skills are transferable to other subjects like science, history, and math. So with subjects like science and social studies, you can always do vocabulary development. The same topic and the same way to do it in reading, you just transfer that to science. A lot of the vocabulary words that we use have some science to it or have some social studies to it. So just because it's science subject or a social studies subject, that doesn't mean you cannot teach the reading skills. Actually, reading skills are necessary to be successful in all these other subjects. Here's a couple more reading skills that you can work on with science or social studies or history subject. Drawing conclusions or predicting outcomes. In science, you're always drawing conclusions of the results of the experiment, or you predict outcomes of what's going to happen in the future when you look at the experiment. The same goes with social studies. You predict the outcomes of events prior to knowing what actually happened, or you draw conclusions, the motivations of the historical figures and why they behaved the way they did. So those are some ways to use the reading skills necessary to practice those skills in other subjects. If you're in the secondary level, it's going to be a little bit more challenging because most of the time in high school, schools are departmentalized, meaning students have different teachers for English, for math, and science. This is going to take some coordination with your co-teachers or even with your school administrators. So for high school teachers, or specifically for high school reading teachers, what I would recommend is sit with your team. Sit with your science teachers or math teachers or social studies teachers. And you show them, you identify the reading skills that you are covering for that particular month or particular unit, and ask them if they're going to be able to cover those skills as well. More times than not, they will, especially like I said before, in science and social studies. There's a lot of cross-curricular subjects or cross-curricular topics that are happening when you really sit down and analyze the curriculum and different subjects. In the case of math, you can actually talk about reading graphs or analyzing data. Reading graphs and analyzing data is not just math skills. Those are reading skills as well. Because in reading, you're constantly analyzing things. You're constantly interpreting things. At the same time, in math, there's also a lot of word problems. So students need to identify and know vocabulary math. So there you have it. You can actually find ways to increase the reading instruction of your students on a daily basis. Even though you're only required or you're only given 45 to 50 minutes a day, with the help of your co-teachers or with creative ways of fixing your schedule, you can find more time and hit that 90-minute mark. Maraming salamat po sa panonood. Hanggang sa muli.